Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're tackling a story that's making headlines and is a total gold mine for UPSC prelims and mains prep.
Oh, yeah, this one's got it all. We're talking geopolitics, urban planning, resource management.
And even a little bit of ancient history. I mean, where else are you going to find all of that in one place?
Got it.
So to kick things off, let's head over to Iran, where, get this, they're actually planning to move their capital city.
No kidding. They're ditching Tehran.
Tehran, yeah, which has been the capital for centuries.
Exactly.
And they're setting up shop on the Makran coast.
A coastal region in southeastern Iran, right on the Gulf of Oman.
There. I know what you might be thinking.
Yeah.
Why on earth would a country just up and move its capital?
Right. It sounds kind of crazy. But when you look at the challenges facing Tehran, it starts to make sense.
So Tehran's got its fair share of problems, huh?
Oh, yeah. Big time. It's
Yeah.
facing some serious issues. The
Yeah.
city's bursting at the seams with way too many people for the infrastructure to handle.
So we're talking traffic jams, pollution, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And on top of that, they've got a major water shortage.
Ah, that's right. Iran's in a pretty dry region to begin with.
And climate change is only making things worse.
So Tehran's stuck in this desert environment and they're running out of water.
Pretty much. It's a recipe for disaster. And that's a huge driving force behind this whole relocation plan.
So it's not just about escaping the traffic and smog.
Nope. Water scarcity is a critical issue for Iran. It's an existential threat. And it's something that UPSC examiners love to ask about, cause and effect implications.
So for those of you prepping for the UPSC, pay close attention to this because it's a textbook example of how environmental challenges can have major geopolitical consequences.
You got it.
Okay, so Tehran's in trouble.
Got it.
But what about this Makran coast? What's so special about it? Is it just an escape route from Tehran's problems, or is there more to it?
Oh, there's definitely more to it. Makran is strategically located on the Gulf of Oman. It's got access to major international shipping lanes.
Ah, so we're talking about potential for trade and economic growth.
Exactly. They're looking at Makran as a potential hub, a gateway to Central Asia and beyond.
So Iran's thinking long-term here.
Oh, yeah. This isn't just a quick fix for Tehran's water woes. It's about positioning themselves as a major player in the Indian Ocean region.
And that's something that should definitely pique the interest of UPSC aspirants, right?
Absolutely. India has a huge stake in this as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because of Chabahar.
Exactly. Chabahar is located right there in the Makran region.
And India's heavily involved in its development.
It's a key piece of the puzzle here.
A win-win situation for both India and Iran.
It gives India an alternative route to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan.
So this is something that you can be sure will come up in your UPSC exams.
Mark my words, it's a textbook example of how geography influences global politics.
Okay, so we've got a city on the brink, a strategically vital coastal region, and India trying to secure its interests in this whole mix. It's like a real-life geopolitical thriller unfolding.
And to make things even more interesting, there's a historical twist to this whole story.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Remember Alexander the Great?
Oh, yeah. From the history books? The guy who conquered Persia and went all the way to India.
That's him. Well, centuries ago, Alexander led his army on a grueling march through this very same region, the Makran Desert.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Alexander the Great was trekking through the Makran Desert.
Yep. And let me tell you, it wasn't a walk in the park.
I can imagine that region's pretty unforgiving.
You got it. His army was decimated by the harsh conditions, heat, lack of water exhaustion. It was brutal.
Wow, so even Alexander the Great had his limits.
Even the greatest conquerors have to bow to Mother Nature sometimes, especially in a place like the Makran Desert.
Okay, so what was Alexander even doing there in the first place? I mean, was he just sightseeing?
Not quite. He was on his way back from conquering parts of northwest India.
Ah, so the Makran Desert was part of his retreat route.
Exactly. And it highlights the strategic importance of this region throughout history. It's a key passage between East and West.
So controlling it has always been crucial for anyone looking to exert influence in this part of the world.
You got it. And it's fascinating to see how Iran's plans for Makran today are echoing the ambitions of conquerors from centuries past.
It's like history is repeating itself in a way.
In a way, yeah. But with a modern twist.
So there you have it, folks. We've gone from a city facing an existential crisis to a strategically vital region with echoes of ancient conquests. And all of this is directly relevant to India's interests in the region.
And we're just getting started. We'll be diving deeper into Alexander the Great's impact on India and how it connects to Iran's modern-day ambitions in just a moment.
But first, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button And give us a like if you're finding this deep dive insightful.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring, folks. Let's spread the knowledge and help each other ace those UPSC exams.
So we were just talking about Alexander the Great and his not so fun trip through that Makran desert.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a vacation.
But that wasn't his only experience in the region.
Right. Oh, no. He had much grander plans for this area of the world. Well, he did conquer Persia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He had his sights set on India,
That's right. His Indian campaign.
a pivotal moment in history.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What happened when Alexander the Great decided to try and conquer India? What was going on in India at that time?
But this was around 326 BCE. Northwest India was like a patchwork of different kingdoms and republics, all kind of vying for power.
Ah, so a bit of a divided landscape.
Exactly. And Alexander, being the brilliant strategist that he was, he saw an opportunity.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He played it smart. He forged alliances with some rulers like Ambi of Taxila.
Against their rivals.
You got it. It was a classic move.
And it worked.
To a certain extent, it helped him gain a foothold in the region, but it wasn't exactly smooth sailing all the way.
So he faced some resistance.
Oh, yeah. Some fierce resistance from certain Indian rulers.
I bet UPSC aspirants would love to hear about this. Any battles in particular that we should mention?
The Battle of the Hydaspes River. It's a big one.
Oh, yes, I remember reading about that.
It took place near modern-day Shellam in Punjab.
So smack dab in the middle of the action.
Right where the action was, Alexander went head-to-head with King Porus.
That's right, King Porus. Now, he was a formidable opponent, wasn't he?
You bet he was. He gave Alexander a run for his money.
But in the end, Alexander won.
It was a hard-fought victory, but a victory nonetheless. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
After the battle, Alexander showed some respect for his enemy.
I mean, you got to admire that.
He actually reinstated King Porus as a vassal king.
So he kept him in power.
In a way, it was a clever move, politically speaking.
To maintain some stability.
Exactly. It shows that Alexander wasn't just a brute force conqueror. He understood the importance of forging alliances.
So it's not just about military might, it's about political savvy, too.
Exactly. It's a valuable lesson for UPSC aspirants to remember. History is full of these kinds of examples where diplomacy goes hand in hand with military strategy.
So Alexander's Indian campaign was more than just a series of battles. It was a complex interplay of military and political maneuver.
You got it.
But eventually it did come to an end.
Right.
Right. Alexander didn't conquer the whole of India, did he?
Nope. He had to turn back.
What stopped him?
Well, a few things, actually. By the time they reached the Bees River, his army was exhausted. I mean, they'd been campaigning for years.
They were probably homesick.
Probably, yeah. And they'd faced a lot of resistance along the way. It wasn't easy going.
And they'd heard stories about this powerful Nanda Empire further east.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not to mention the monsoon season was approaching.
Ah, that wouldn't have been fun.
Not at all. It would have made things incredibly difficult. So Alexander decided to call it a day.
Retreat.
Exactly. And that's where that grueling march through the Makran Desert comes back into play.
Right, that was part of his retreat route.
Exactly. A tough way to end a campaign.
But you know, it's interesting.
What's that?
Even though Alexander's rule in parts of northwest India didn't last very long,
Right. It was relatively short-lived.
it still had a lasting impact.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
His campaigns opened up new trade routes connecting India to the West.
Ah, so more than just conquest.
Right. It led to increased cultural exchange and economic interaction.
That's fascinating.
Hmm.
So even in retreat, Alexander left his mark.
He sure did. You can actually see the influence of Greek art and architecture in the Gandhara school of art that emerged centuries later.
Wow, that's incredible. So Alexander's campaign had these unintended consequences that actually ended up shaping the course of Indian history.
You got it. And here's another interesting tidbit.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Some historians believe that Alexander's invasion actually indirectly contributed to the rise of the Mauryan Empire.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Mauryan Empire, he witnessed Alexander's campaigns firsthand.
He saw it all.
He did, and some believe he was inspired by Alexander's military tactics and political strategies.
So he learned from the best, or at least from one of the best.
And then he went on to unify much of the Indian subcontinent.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So this foreign invasion actually paved the way for the rise of one of India's greatest empires.
It's a fascinating twist of history, and it shows how these seemingly isolated events can have these ripple effects that extend far beyond their immediate context.
It's all interconnected.
Exactly. And for UPSC aspirants, it's crucial to be able to make those connections to see the bigger picture.
To see how history shapes the present.
You got it. And speaking of history, Alexander's historians, they left behind some pretty valuable accounts.
Oh yeah, like Arian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These firsthand accounts give us a glimpse into the social, economic, and political life of ancient India.
They're like windows into the past.
Exactly. Primary sources that we can use to understand this period.
And they're frequently cited in UPSC exams, so definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely. They're a treasure trove of information.
So even though Alexander's adventure in India was relatively short-lived,
Relatively, yeah.
it left a lasting legacy.
It's a testament to the enduring power of historical events. These things have a way of shaping civilizations and influencing the course of history.
And it's all connected to our main story here, isn't it?
It is Iran's plans for Micron. They're not so different from Alexander's ambitions in a way.
They both saw the strategic importance of this region.
Exactly. They both wanted to control it, to use it as a gateway to connect different parts of the world.
It's like history is rhyming.
In a way, yeah. It's fascinating to see these parallels.
So we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the bustling streets of Tehran,
To the echoes of Alexander the Great's march through the Makran Desert.
and it's all intertwined with India's strategic interests in the region.
A complex web of geopolitics, history, and economics.
But there's still one crucial piece of the puzzle we need to explore Iran's vision for Makran's future,
Their plans to turn it into a global hub.
and what that means for the region and the world.
Big implications.
We'll be unpacking all of that right after a quick message. Don't go anywhere.
And we're back, continuing our deep dive into Iran's plan to relocate its capital to the Makran coast.
It's a bold move with far-reaching implications. We've talked about Tehran's troubles, the strategic importance of Makran, and even Alexander the Great's historical connection to the region.
And now it's time to look ahead to Iran's vision for the future.
So what's the grand plan? What do they want Makran to become?
They see Makran as more than just a new capital city. They're envisioning a complete transformation of the region.
A makeover of epic proportions.
Exactly. They want to create an economic powerhouse, a hub for trade and energy, a gateway to Central Asia.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. They're investing heavily in infrastructure development, ports, roads, railways, you name it.
They're going all in.
They have to. They want to attract foreign investment. They want to put Makran on the map.
And with that prime location on the Gulf of Oman, they're aiming for a starring role in the Indian Ocean arena.
Absolutely. Which brings us to a key point for all our UPSC enthusiasts out there.
India's involvement.
Exactly. Remember Chabahar?
The port city that's been making headlines.
That's the one. It's right there in the heart of the Makran region.
And India's playing a major role in its development.
A strategic partnership that has the potential to reshape the entire region.
So for anyone prepping for the UPSC, this is a must-know topic.
It's a textbook example of how geopolitics, economics, and geography all come together.
It's a perfect storm for an essay question.
You got it. And it's a win-win situation for both India and Iran.
India gets access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan.
And Iran gets a much-needed economic boost and a powerful ally.
So everyone benefits.
Well, not everyone. Of course, there are always challenges and potential points of friction.
There's never a simple solution in geopolitics, is there?
Never. The region is complex with a lot of players vying for influence.
It's a delicate balancing act.
Exactly. And there are concerns about security and stability.
With Afghanistan right next door and the ongoing tensions in the Middle East.
It's a volatile mix.
So Iran's vision for Makran isn't a guaranteed success story.
There are definitely risks involved.
And for our UPSC audience, it's important to be able to analyze those risks to understand the potential pitfalls.
Absolutely. They need to consider factors like international sanctions, regional rivalries, and internal political dynamics.
It's not enough to just know the facts.
You have to be able to connect the dots, to analyze the complexities, to think critically.
So let's bring it all home. What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Iran's grand relocation plan?
Well, first and foremost, this situation highlights the importance of understanding the interconnectedness of geography, economics, and geopolitics.
They're all intertwined.
Exactly. And then there's the strategic significance of Chabahar,
India's gateway to Central Asia.
a game changer for Indian foreign policy.
So for those of you dreaming of joining the Indian Foreign Service, pay close attention.
This is the kind of real-world scenario that you need to be prepared to analyze.
And it's not just relevant for UPSC aspirants.
This is about understanding the world we live in, the shifting global power dynamics, the rise of new economic centers, the resurgence of historical rivalries.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But it's fascinating stuff, and it's all connected.
So there you have it, folks. from a city running out of water to a region poised to become a global hub.
It's a story that has it all.
We've explored the challenges, the opportunities, the risks, and the historical parallels.
And we've connected it all back to India's strategic interests.
We've truly gone deep.
We have. And hopefully our listeners have gained some valuable insights along the way.
Insights that will help them ace those UPSC exams and navigate the complexities of the 21st century world.
And on that note, we'll wrap things up for today.
But before we go, a huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends.
Spread the knowledge, folks.
Yeah.
Every share helps us reach a wider audience.
And remember, keep learning, keep questioning, keep exploring the world around you.
Because you never know what fascinating connections you might uncover.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
And best of luck in your UPSC journey.